All right, Samantha. Here is the input file. My first video that explained this was it was actually the second one I sent you. It was garbage. I had microphone problems, and I recorded about 3 hours of audio for students, and it wasn't critical, but I'm not recording that again. So here we go. For work-based learning, you will need to make an entry for every student in every CTE class, at least one entry. And no more than, you can't check more than each activity once. You can only record each activity once. So, for example, now Devin Bouvier has WBLOP. This is actually activity 2. So, for all of these students with an X next to their name, you would record that as work based learning 2. That they did that activity sometime during the semester. If there's nothing showing here, Juan and Ethan, for example, you would record that as activity 10. They didn't do any of them. Per student, per class. All right. Now you can cross check me a little bit. Now, Bouvier is easy because he only had one activity for all of his classes. But check and make sure that the information I put on these worksheets is all career and technical ed classes. Because you get down here, and I just want to show you an example. Here's where I included a bunch of TAs right there. Now, Mr. Bouvier is a CTE teacher, but Office TA is not a CTE class. All right. So we would not enter any activity in, nor do I think you can or try, but you would not enter any activity in for those students in classes that are not CTE classes, in this case, a TA. All right. So his is pretty straightforward. Again, every student, every class, check the activities they completed. And again, you can only record each activity once. Now, if you go to Mrs. Hill, here you have work based learning 9, work based learning 9. You can only check work based learning 9 once, that activity once. Okay? So if they did it at least once, doesn't matter if they did it twice or 3 times or 5 times or once, you would record each student that completed that activity once during the semester per student per class. All right? It gets a little bit tricky down here when you've got, here you got work based learning 2, work based learning 3, and work based learning 9. And you can check all the different activities they were involved with. And again, work based learning 3, she has in here 6 times. They only have to do the activity once during the semester to get credit for it in the work based learning data entry. So in this case, if they did work based learning 3, if they did it just once during the semester, you'd check that. Anybody who did work based learning 2, you would check that, and work based learning 9. Again, if they didn't do any activities, you would just check work based learning 10 as none of the above, or they didn't do any of the activities for the semester. Okay. Um, I hope that is all clear. Anything else that's wonky in here? And Mrs. Hills is a little bit different because she had a lot of activities in here. And again, I have a worksheet for every teacher in here. All right. Now, one thing I want to point out here was Gaden as well. Gaden didn't have any work based learning activities. Okay. So I just put his roster up here. So for every student, you will need to enter in 10 that none of them in Gaden's class completed a work based learning activity. For every CTE class, we have to record every student in every class that was active during the semester. Okay. Um, Again, you cannot exceed 40 hours in a week So your hours at school plus the hours you put in on this cannot be more than 40 hours. I want to make sure that's clear. All right. And you're going to want to record these hours obviously separately from your school hours so we can keep track of the difference between those two. And if you have any questions, I want to make sure that you understand completely from the beginning what's going on so you don't waste time later. So you understand the very beginning what you're entering into the system. The first video I made you is about the nuts and bolts of entering into Skyward. The second video is how to take this data and what to do with it in entering it into the system. All right? Let me know after watching both videos if it's clear. Take care. Thank you.